What does your line of sight have to do with your spiritual journey? I'm going to give you physiological connections between what you focus on with your eyes and where you go, how you manifest.
Welcome to Howling at the Moon, where the mystical meets the practical, and the canine spirit guides lead the way. I'm your host, Heather Leigh Strom. In 2022, I experienced a sudden, life-changing spiritual awakening. After a lifetime of struggling with, who am I and why am I here? For 5 decades, the world felt cold and confusing. Now I see the patterns, the purpose, and the bigger magical picture. My mission? To help you find your way through your own awakening journey. Here, you'll discover limitless possibilities for spiritual growth, powerful healing frequencies, and extraordinary energetic professionals, each designed to guide you into deeper healing and remembrance. Some episodes feature enlightening wisdom from spiritually evolved guest healers, visionaries, and authors. Others are led by the multidimensional canine spirit guides themselves, sharing their unique intergalactic wisdom and frequency. If you've been craving deeper truth, multidimensional healing, and a little cosmic magic, you've just found your pack. Listen and watch on Spotify or YouTube and bring the magic back into your life.
Okay, so this information is so important. I almost put it in my book. There just wasn't a good place to put it. So I pulled it out, and now I'm being instructed to share with it here on this platform, to share it with you. So let's dig into it, shall we? What does your line of sight have to do with your spiritual journey? I'm going to give you physiological connections between what you focus on with your eyes and where you go, how you manifest. So this is really exciting information. This is something I have been studying my entire life, and everything that I have done, every sport, every activity has supported this theory. So I'm going to walk you through that connection step by step so you can see it readily for yourself. And it just makes it so much easier for us to really reel in our intention and fine tune it and direct it exactly where it needs to go in order to be fulfilled. Now, let's talk about how your visual intention can create a problem with your spiritual journey, with your spiritual growth and your path, and how it can affect your intention. Some people think that intention is something outside of them. It's something outside of their everyday function, right? It's just something that you say, you set an intention, and it really doesn't have anything to do with your physiological function. I'm going to show you, I'm going to demonstrate how that is not the case. So stay with me here. I'm going to give you several examples. So let's go through the physiology of intention. And the physiology starts with the eyes, the eyeballs, where the eyes are focused. This begins the physical manifestation of your intention, is your eye gaze, your line of sight. And I'm going to share with you what I mean by that. But just so you have all the data you need to convince your logical mind, let's go through some anatomy and physiology. Your eyeballs connect through the nervous tissue to the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the largest nerve in your body. It travels from the cranium all the way down through the abdomen, through the trunk, through the abdomen, through the core, and ends down deep at the base of the spine. This is a very important, a large, fat nerve that runs all the way through your major body. It doesn't affect your arms and your legs, just the core part of you. So this gives the eyes a very direct connection to everything else in your body. So when your eyes are focused in a certain direction at a certain height, whether they're looking around the corner, looking straight, looking close, looking far, will have an effect on how this nerve, this vagus nerve, communicates to the rest of the body. And the vagus nerve does directly connect the eyes to the core. So when your eyes set a target, a destination, a direction, this is communicated to your core muscle group, which is then reacts to this input by setting your body up to fulfill it. So your internal organs, your internal muscles automatically respond to the eye gaze. And this has been documented in science. We are actually using eye gaze as a recovery tactic for trauma because it has such a profound connection with how our body reacts to sudden events in our lives that become traumatic. So, follow along with me here if you can. Um, when this vagus nerve will communicate to your body how it needs to be prepared based on where you're looking. If you're looking close to you, this indicates that you're not going to go very far, you're not going to go very fast, and you're going to be stopping. If your eyes are focused far out in front of you, this communicates to your body that you're going to go far, you're going to go fast, you're not planning on stopping. So the body prepares for this. The body prepares to make it happen. The body prepares to manifest your intention based on where you're looking. Now, the vagus nerve also has an autonomic effect on the organs. It controls your heart rate and your respiratory rate and how the organs respond as well to the rest of the body. So it is intimately connected to how to regulate the entire body to make this intention come true, to make it happen. Whether you need to breathe harder, whether your heart needs to pump faster, all of this is automatically communicated to the body. Isn't that beautiful, right? You don't even have to think about it. It's just done for you. So taking all of this information, can you see how where you focus and what you focus on will have an effect on your intention? So if you set an intention with words, and yet you're focusing on what you don't want to happen, such as, I don't want to get fired, or I don't want to fall off the bridge that I'm trying to walk across. Or if you spend your time focusing on the negative interactions you have in your life, thinking about it over and over, or anticipating it over and over, instead of setting your gaze on what your intention in life is. So if your intention is to live in peace, to not judge others, to be completely happy and joyous, and yet you have these thoughts in your mind that you keep revisiting, bad memories, maybe an argument you had, um, an accident you were in, if you keep thinking about these memories, these triggers, then you will never meet your intention. Because if you apply the eye gaze, what's really happening is You are focusing on it. If you're not focusing on your intention, you're going to go where you are focusing. So it doesn't matter what you say, it matters what you do. So if you're setting an intention for the day with words, maybe with a mantra, maybe by writing out several times, you must make sure you follow through with your line of sight, that everything you focus on around that intention matches your intention. I'm going to give you some examples of this because it's really important that you understand. It took me a long time to understand this concept, and there have been many activities that I participate in that continuously illustrate this for me, and it's such a beautiful message. I really have to share it with you. So let's go through some real life examples of what I'm talking about. So if you're driving a car and your intention is to stop at a red light, think about where you're looking. Are you looking half a mile down the road when you want to stop at that stoplight? Are you looking at the white line that you need to stop at for that white for the stop for the red light? Are you looking off to the side and not even looking forward when you need to stop? Think about that. A great example of this is when you suddenly need to stop, such as when the light turns on you and you weren't expecting it. Or if you're trying to go through a roundabout and you expected to pause, but instead there's a car coming and you have to stop. Do you notice what your body does instinctively at that moment when it's important that you stop right now? Your eye gaze will shift sharply down in front of you instead of off in the distance. And sometimes your focus with that eye gaze even goes inward. So it goes down and a little bit backward to fully engage the core of your body, to engage those muscles, to tell them, get ready, we're stopping quick, hold the body up, hold the body steady. The eye gaze will signify to the rest of the body, the rest of the team, what needs to happen, right? If you are trying to pass somebody on the interstate and you're not sure your car, especially if you're not sure your car can get going fast enough to pass somebody, what does your eye gaze naturally do? What does your body naturally do? You look far ahead as you can, because you're trying to get that car to giddy up. Let's go. Come on, you can do it. You can pass this car. You got your pedal to the metal, and you're just hoping you can go fast enough to pass this car before more oncoming traffic comes, right? So you're looking really far ahead, and you're almost burning a hole into that ether as far ahead as you can look, because you're telling your body, go, go, go. Okay? If you haven't noticed this, just think about it next time it happens. If you're going to turn your car, where do you look? Well, you have to look where you're going first to make sure you can line up the angle of the turn, right? And then as soon as you know that there's no traffic coming, you commit your vision to where you're going. You don't start the turn and keep looking straight. You might glance that way if you're worried somebody's going to hit you, but for the most part, you're looking in the direction you want to go. Now, the people who have a hard time with turns are not doing this, and that's why they don't get their turn just right. They might overturn, or they might turn too short and clip the other people sitting there at that light. So it really matters where you look. Pay attention to this next time you drive your car. Okay, so driving a car is a pretty common example. Let's talk about some other things that may or may not be relevant to you, but let's talk about a horse. A horse is something really, really special because when we ride horses, we sit on top of them, right? When we do that, we're sharing energy with them, especially a horse who's very, very sensitive. Our tailbones are the ischial tuberosities where we sit, those bones that stick out on your butt when you sit down. Those bones will intimately communicate with your horse what your intention is, regardless of what your hands and your feet are telling the horse. So let's go back to our eye gaze. If you're on a horse and you want this horse to slow down, the easiest way to do it is to, just like in a car, bring your focus closer. So look just in front of the horse's feet, just in front of the horse's ears. And even if you need more focus and more collection in the horse, you bring your focus just a little bit inside of that. And it brings the horse up underneath you and collects that horse a little bit more because your eye gaze travels down through the vagus nerve. It actually will communicate with your core muscle groups, and it actually causes a shift in your sit bones, a shift in whether you're rolling back on your sit bones or you're rolling forward on your sit bones, kind of giving yourself an arched back. And the position of the sit bones, a very subtle change, communicates volumes to the horse. So the horse picks up on this change in your center of gravity, change in your alignment, and will respond appropriately. If you want your horse to go fast and long, so if you're on a cross-country gallop, you've got your gaze fixed as far ahead of you as you can see, because that's where you're going. All of that terrain in front of you, you're intending to cover it. So the horse can feel this through the vagus nerve connection with your seat. And the horse says, got it. We're going long, we're going fast. I'm going to just settle into a powerful ground covering gallop. Okay. If you are jumping a horse, the first thing you do is to look at the jump you're going to approach so the horse knows what's coming. As soon as the horse locks onto that obstacle in front of you, the ears go forward, you know the horse is locked. At that point, you change your gaze to what happens after the jump. If you don't, the horse thinks, because you're still staring at the jump, the horse is going to think that that's the target. We get to the fence and we stop, right? Line of sight. That's all he's seeing is what you're showing him. You're looking at the fence. So the horse says, oh, we're going to the fence and we're stopping. And that's when people get thrown, right? Because the horse followed our instructions. The horse followed our true intention as communicated by the eyes. Now, if you set it up the way I described first, where you look at the fence to show the horse where you're going, and then as soon as the horse understands its job, you look past that. So you're already giving the horse information about what to do after the jump. So the horse knows you're going over the jump. Your intention is set to travel over the jump. So the horse goes over the jump. And depending on where you're looking as you go over the jump, whether it's straight ahead or it's off to the side, or maybe you might want to come to a halt after that jump, then your eye gaze would be different. This will all communicate to the horse what's coming next without you having to apply a rein or a leg or even a voice. Okay? Pretty magical. This example was really, really obvious on a horse because the horse never lied. I could think I was communicating one thing, but I always knew if I was accurately communicating based on what my horse did. Now let's consider an example on a mountain bike, right? That's very similar to riding a horse because you have obstacles and corners in a mountain bike, and you also have speed and gravity. So your eye gaze is tremendously important, not only in getting yourself over obstacles, but in keeping you safe along the trail. So this is really going to apply to our spirituality because especially in mountain biking, you always want to look where you want to go, not where you don't want to go. So when you're on a single track, a thin, um, single wide trail that's on the edge of a cliff or along the side of a hill, you don't want to be looking down the hill where you could fall or over the cliff where you could fall because that sets your intention. You know, you've heard people say, never look down. Well, that's why. You don't want to look down and then subsequently go that direction. So, no matter what's happening around you, set your focus, set your intention to follow the direct path that you wish to follow. Same thing on a mountain bike with obstacles that you find on a horse. If you look at that obstacle longer than it takes for you just to realize and set up for going over it, then you're not going to be able to get over it. So, again, look at the obstacle that you have to traverse enough that the brain goes, uh-huh, I need to do XYZ, and then look past it. Always look further along down the trail as you're going through the bumpy stuff or the technical stuff or the things that you have to ride over. The bike is engineered to get over that stuff. All you have to do is power it. So don't stare at it. The more you stare at it, the more you're going to hit it. Fascinating, right? If you're going around a corner, same as when you're going over an obstacle. You don't want to look to the apex of the corner. That's a really bad habit. It's hard to overcome because sometimes the brain gets overwhelmed with what it's seeing and it just locks in on the first thing it sees and it stops. It kind of freezes. When you do that, you can't get through the corner. You'll either stop or you'll slow down so much that you don't have enough momentum to get through the rest of the corner. So you have to train yourself as you go into the corner to lift your head up and look through the rest of the turn in order to make it through the whole turn. So you see, these are all really great examples of how your line of sight correlates directly to your intention. And this is what I find so frustrating for some beginners is they don't realize they're doing this. They don't realize that their line of sight is much shorter than their intention. So then they never reach their intention. There's a really important message in my book, Canine Spirit Guides. It's in the final section with Attic. I can't remember what section that is. I think it's section 5, maybe. When I'm going through numerous health issues that are devastating, each on their own, and yet I have multiple devastations that I have to face. And one thing that was a survival skill for me was that I was able to focus very intently only on my intention. So in the book, I share about my brain surgery and the devastating side effects that had on me, especially for me being a full-time college student at the time. The only thing I allowed myself to focus on during that crisis was a solution. I never allowed myself or anyone around me to focus on what I couldn't do or to focus on how hard it was or why is why am I being treated the way I was? I would never allow myself to focus on that. It never occurred to me to say, why me either. I was only focused on finding a way out. How do I get through this? I was focusing on my out, the same as I would for a jump with a horse or an obstacle with a mountain bike or driving a car. And this is a life skill that's very necessary for us to find our way through traumatic events in our lives, um, crises that turn out to be brilliant orchestrated messages. So the more we can focus on, okay, what am I supposed to know here? What do I need to get me into that true alignment with my intention instead of getting distracted by the things that most people do? Why me? Why is this so hard? Why is it easier for everybody else? Why do I feel so nasty and so terrible and so exhausted? Why can't I get through my day without having to take a nap? If we focus on those short-sighted intentions, we're not going to reach our long-range intention. And this is why the canine guides wanted me to put that message and all those stories in the book, is because some of us are getting stuck on the distractions and not finding our way and connecting deeply with that intention that's aligned with our soul frequency. So, this is where we tend to get lost. And I got to tell you, it's not a fun place to be. I would much rather be living in love and light and total clarity. So, when you find yourself in this mucky place where you can't figure out how to get out, have a conversation with yourself, a deep conversation, maybe a meditation, and really dig into what your true intention is. And maybe open yourself up to a higher intention than what you can see, because sometimes as humans, we can't see the big picture. So if you open yourself up to that higher intention, with the desire to align completely and thoroughly with it and only focus on that. See how that works for you. If I can get through that grueling part of my life where I was a full-time student and I couldn't even read, come on, y'all. You can get through whatever is bothering you. You can do this. You've got to have a pure intention and stay focused on that. All right. How's everybody doing with your dose of anatomy and physiology and the connection I drew between your focus and your intention? How's everybody feeling about that? Does that make sense to you? Is that maybe a new concept you hadn't truly understood as deep, as deeply before? Maybe you just can't put your finger on it. Maybe it doesn't feel right to you just yet. Maybe you can't see that just yet. That's okay. Sometimes it takes us hearing things more than one or two or three times before it really sinks in, before we really resonate with it. And we go, oh, yeah, I get it. If you want to take the short route, the easy path to understanding these concepts, try the exercises I described. Get in your car and see where your eye gaze is when you're driving. Get on a horse. If you are an equestrian, you know this stuff is true. There is no way to be an equestrian and not understand this principle. Get on your mountain bike and see if the reason you're having trouble getting over that log set is because you're looking in the wrong place. Try it out, test my theory and see how it works for you. And then test it when you set that intention and actually follow these principles and see if you don't get there faster with less distractions and fewer blockages. All right. Okay, so now we're going to be receiving a healing frequency and an energetic upgrade from Oregon. Oregon is the Basenji and the Black Panther. She's near and dear to my heart. She was my favorite canine spirit guide to work with. She was also my favorite dog in the book. If you've read the book, you realize how special and magical she is. So she's going to be offering her services today, working through the third eye and removing any obstacles that might connect you to your highest intentional frequency. So she's going to provide a bridge between you and your divine frequency so that you will know exactly how to set your intention and how to align it with your divine purpose. Okay?
Thank you for joining me today. The healing session for this episode with the Canine Spirit Guides is now available exclusively through my subscriber portal on Substack. These energetic downloads are sacred transmissions, and by moving them to a dedicated space, I can connect more intentionally with those of you who feel called to receive them. It also helps me get to know you a little better so that I can more effectively serve and support this growing community. If you'd like to access the healing frequencies of this episode's Canine Spirit Guide and future transmissions, just head over to my Substack at heatherleighstrom.substack.com and become a subscriber. Whether you join us there or simply tune in here, the Canine Spirit Guides and I are so grateful to share this path with you. And be sure to stay put because there might be more coming on this podcast.
Wow, that was really beautiful. That was quite the gift from Oregon. So be sure and take advantage of that gift. I'm not sure how long it will last. It probably depends on you individually, how long you can hold and sustain that frequency with you. If you want more in-depth assistance with your journey, something you're attempting to overcome, maybe some shadows that you can't quite find, but you know they're there. That's what the canine guides are really good at, making healing fun and easy. So hit me up for a session or enroll yourself on my webpage, and you're not going to be disappointed. All right. That's the offering today from the Canine Spirit Guides. I hope you really enjoyed that illuminating topic of line of sight. I'll be back next week with a new podcast, so stay tuned. Follow me on YouTube and share with all of your friends. And don't forget to leave me a note so I know if this podcast is providing assistance to you. All right, you guys, love you. Good luck on your journey. Let me know if I can help.
Canine Spirit Guides, The Healing Power of Man's Best Friend by Leigh Strom. We've always suspected dogs are magical angels from God. In this groundbreaking book, you'll discover the specific divine gifts our canine companions really possess as they facilitate our healing, elevate our awareness, and expand our consciousness. Man's best friend has their own spirit guides, which is why they appear in our lives just when we need them most. This award-winning book, Canine Spirit Guides, The Healing Power of Man's Best Friend by Leigh Strom, is available on Amazon.com and heatherleighstrom.com. Get your copy today and begin your journey.